Mike Wood and Elizabeth Leo from Wilkes University. Would you like to give your presentation?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you for giving us a few minutes here to talk about what is a pretty exciting project for Wilkes University and for the city of Wilkes-Barre. The project that we plan to develop is 116 South Main, which is depicted on the left-hand side of the easel there. And we are making a substantial investment with a developer to bring this building to hopefully its highest and best use. And today we're going to be asking for you to consider selling us a small lane that is adjacent to the building so that we might adjoin different parcels that we have that are affiliated with this building into one deed, which is going to make it easier for us to develop this and to work with investors. So our plan for this building was acquired in 2017. The university didn't know what its end use would be, but we could pick it up, and we sent it through about $1 million worth of remediation. It needed total asbestos removal. So it really wasn't marketable to anybody else in the community. We have considered several things, but now we're in a position to be able to turn this building, the upper 3 floors, into approximately 33 high-end rental units and maintain the first floor for future university needs, or possibly a lease back for some kind of retail space. We're going to have time to figure that out, but we'll make that investment at the appropriate time. Elizabeth is going to show you a little bit about what the current conditions are on that lane and show you the architectural rendering and the survey so that you understand how this is all situated. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. As Mike said, we're very excited about this project because it will take an existing building that right now is not really serving the community at all and make it into something not only viable but thriving. And it'll just be another addition to downtown that will bring more people into town, more people spending their money in town. And with these luxury apartments that will be on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors, we can ensure that it will be a very positive influence on the city's community and economy. So if you look at the left, if you drove by 116 right now, that's the picture of the facility, of the building. And one artist rendering is what Mike is going to show you right now. And that's just a suggestion. Behind all of those solid walls that you see in the original are actually windows that are shaped like that they're going to restore and bring back to its original glory, if you will. That's just an artist rendering of some of the use. So what we're looking to acquire is a 12-foot alley that was formerly known as Grant Lane, which it abuts 116. The tan building you see that Mike's pointing to is the side of 116. Then there's the 12-foot alley with the sidewalks we've taken several pictures to show you how disrepaired those sidewalks are. The first picture is a picture from Main Street looking in. So you have 116 on the right. You have the 12-foot alley, and then that paved lot is a parcel that we also own. There used to be a building on it. There's no longer a building. I'll show you on the map what I'm talking about. And so because we own the property contiguous to both sides, by adjoining these properties and selling us that 12-foot alley, we're going to be able to make a contiguous property, really even use that as open space that will just make the entire area look so much more beautiful and really makes it an approachable and attractive option for people who are looking to rent downtown in luxury apartments.
The other thing that I would add is that the entryway to the apartments is going to be here on the side. Mm-hmm. So the entryway for the retail space or the university space would be through the front. So we're going to have to make investment here all along here so that it creates an attractive entryway to potential residents and also create, bring back lighting, bring back streetscape, bring back
Exactly. And as you'll see on the map that we're about to show, there's also parking spaces in the back that would be ample for both the retail and residential space. But the first piece that Mike is taking down now, I have actually smaller pictures here. I can pass the pictures around. Might be easier unless Congress keep this back. But really, in just about every spot, we had so many pictures, I just had them recopy all of them. In so many spots, the property is in disrepair, and this would really, just even that piece alone is going to make this whole spot look much, much better. So right now, you're looking at a survey that we had done, and it's a certified survey, and that is the entire property. Mike, do you want to point to Main Street?
Sure, this is South Main Street right here.
Right.
And this is 116 South Main, the building we're talking about. This is our adjacent parcel that is deeded to this building, to 116, but it hopscotches the city-owned sidewalk or former small alleyway.
Why don't we go ahead and put up the blown-up version? We just wanted to show you this piece to show you that it does come from a certified survey that we had done of the property. But you can see it much more clearly here. The large rectangular to Mike's left is the 116. Then the, then the alleyway is that 12-foot segment right there. And then that parcel to the right of the alley is that empty lot, the paved lot that you see, the paved road that you see. And what we're asking is for the city to vacate the alley and sell the parcel to us.
Vacate this portion. This is not actually an alley, even though it's being used as an alley.
Right.
It is a Wilkes-owned parcel. This is the alley that we're referring to right now.
Right. And that's a 12-foot alley all the way around. And what we're asking for is for that to be vacated and sold to the university, so we can realize the plan of making that entire area much more just beautiful and much more beneficial to the city. Let's see, we did some research. We looked for an original deed for that alley just to see how it was conveyed. It appears as though we went back as far as 1872, and it appears as though that alley was laid when the city was laid out. So there is no deed for it because it was just laid out as an alley. There's never been a designation as either as a pedestrian or a vehicular throughway, but given that it's 12 feet wide, I don't think anything could have driven down that lot, no matter that alley, no matter what. So there's just no designation, but it appears as it could have only have been a pedestrian walkway. One of the questions that we thought might come up is egress and ingress, right? Because people are going to need to get through Livingston Lane. Sorry, Mike. So Livingston Lane comes up from the right, okay? And sometimes people will use our parcel that we own, but there's not a building on it, as a driveway to get out to Main Street, but it's not necessary because there's ample egress from Livingston Lane if you turn left, and then you can go either, you come down Livingston Lane, and you can either go right to go out to the south or left to go out to Northampton Street. So there's still ample opportunity for vehicular traffic to get where they need to go in that area. So we also did ask the city assessor.
Do you guys need to see that closer? No.
We also asked the city assessor to assess the property for us so that we could have an idea of what the property would be, what the asking price would be. And John Anstett came back with a fair market value of the property of $22,000. Okay, and then as Mike had said, we are in discussions to convert the top 3 buildings to luxury apartments, and that's only going to have a positive impact on downtown. Now, Mike and I are willing to take questions if anybody has any questions that we can answer for you.
At this point, I just have one. Maybe I misunderstood something. I've had multiple conversations with Mike and Elizabeth. In addition to the alley, there is a parcel that's behind the alley that is the sidewalk that would be in a deed. I thought Wilkes was requesting both.
Yes, that's all part of the alley. It twists around the back here. So if you look at the, if I may. So the way it goes, there's not a legal description for some pieces of this, which you and I have talked about.
Right, there's the legal for the one part, that
Right.
because that has a deed, and then a part of the alley that comes from South Main until where it meets the part that has a
Right.
deed.
So a portion of this has a legal description,
Yes.
which is down here.
Okay.
This does not, and around So we've gotten a proposal from a surveyor who's gonna do that for us for $1,200.
Right.
We haven't engaged him yet, we wanna see how things went today before we did that. But at the end of the day, it will be all the way to here, where this parcel ends.
Right, so just so council understands, it would actually be two transactions. It would be the vacating the alley, and the vacated alley would go to Wilkes, as they own both sides of the property surrounding the alley. And then there's another portion toward the back that, where the sidewalk kind of comes out, you can see it, that would be in a deed. So that would just be like a normal conveyance, a deed from the city into Wilkes. So it would be part vacation, part regular conveyance. Right, am I under?
Exactly.
Right, okay.
So just a quick question from myself. If everything should move forward, when would you plan on starting construction on the upper floors, the apartments?
That could start within actually 4 to 6 months of us signing a contract. The approximately 18 months of construction.
Okay, thank you.
Just a question on the, if I may, on the apartments, you mentioned 22, I think it's
33, actually.
33.
33, all right, that's
It's
close.
70,000 square feet.
And these would be available to who? Just anybody?
Public.
So that would mean, you would become basically a landlord, for lack of a better word,
Do you want to?
rental property.
Yeah, it really depends. We haven't worked out the details of what our contract will be. There's an option to sell it, there's an option to lease back. There are different options that are being discussed. We haven't settled on one. But in any case, it's going to be a revenue producing and a taxable revenue that'll be coming out of this.
So when you say taxable revenue, in what respect would that be? Because basically the property itself, does that remain, the property remains tax exempt, is that correct? Or is tax exempt currently?
The portion of the building that's being used in a not-for-profit manner would remain tax
Would be-
exempt.
so a
Anything
portion
that's
would be-
operated in a for-profit manner would be subject to taxation.
That's where I was
The
going.
3 floors.
Thank you for explaining that. But I assume that's what we were working out, details on that.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions?
Yeah, the artwork that's on the front of the building, is that a Herb Simon?
Boy, we don't know what that is.
He would know. I'm only guessing because he's been there forever. Are you gonna save that, put it somewhere else?
If someone can find a
I'll ask Herb.
highest and best use for that, then we would welcome that.
It is, I mean, it is a period piece of its time, but I also want to say that I really like your design going forward. It really mirrors almost Hotel Sterling it was done. So it's probably what is underneath there.
Yeah, when you get in the building, you can see those huge windows, and it has
Right.
30-foot ceilings. I mean, it's really going to be fantastic apartments when they're finished.
One of the developers that we were speaking to doesn't think they'll have any problem. In fact, in the past, many of their apartments are sold out before they're even done building.
Yeah, it's happening all around town, so.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can always put in, you know what was on the first floor? You remember, Bill? It was S&H green stamps.
What do you look at me for?
We're the old ones here. Beth wouldn't run that way.
That second block does need attention, and this is
Yeah.
going to maybe,
Well, when you look at the
Move that forward.
pictures, excuse me for interrupting, when you look at the pictures, you know, it really calls for something to happen there. And
Yeah.
it's really not a safe condition right now.
yes. Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are your photos back?
Oh, you want your big picture?
And,
You guys don't want to hang on to them?
now, just for the benefit of
On the
Mike and
archive,
Elizabeth,
it
Maybe the after photo we'll hang on to.
just for Mike and Elizabeth's benefit, they made their presentation tonight. Obviously, council will take some time to, process and digest this request. And then maybe I'll reach out to you guys sometime next week about preparing a resolution for the meeting on the 28th. Once you guys have, had a chance to think about this.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, so council has on their agenda a resolution temporarily suspending the open consumption of alcoholic beverages for the Fine Arts Fiesta for the wine tasting area. Any questions? You're up.
you don't mind, I'm gonna speak from here rather than fight around that board there. Okay, thank you. Authorizing proper city officials to take any and all necessary action related to the purchase of new undercover vehicle and Coast Guard camera. Purchase price of $42,621.47. Authorizing proper city officials to take any and all necessary action related to the purchase of law enforcement liability insurance policy from Richmond National Insurance Company. Price of $241,114. Policy will be in effect from May 4th, 2022 to August 14th, 2023. Authorizing proper city officials to take any and all necessary actions related to the operating of a new checking account at PNC Bank for the purpose of administering all funds associated with the federally declared disaster hurricane. We've been meeting with FEMA for the last couple of days and continue tomorrow, possibly into Thursday, going over the amount of losses that will incur because of Ida. So hopefully when we do receive a favorable response, we'll be receiving some funds. They will be deposited into this account for that purpose. I'm sorry. Zolkoff, Axel Rod LLC as the independent auditor for the city of Wilkes-Barre for the audit years 2021-2022. This company actually, we did an RFP in 2018, which was 5 years, and actually this company is saving us roughly $6,000 a year over the other companies that we have in the past. Also, reappointing Donna Riley as a member of the Board of Health and reappointing Margaret Vecchio as a member of the Board of Health. Also, I just want to make one statement that I want to compliment and thank the Wilkes-Barre City Fire Department. They've responded to 4 fires within a 1-year period of time. They've done an amazing job along with the Wilkes-Barre Police Department on the fires, and they did an outstanding job in fighting 4 fires.
That's everything. Is council's good with having everything on a consent for the next meeting? Any problems with that? Consent.
Council presentations? Okay. Councilman Barrett?
Just a couple things. You heard me speak about Pine Ridge in the past, about the issues that were there and problems in the high grass and weeds and everything. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank the mayor and his administration for addressing those issues. Right now, there are 2 high-end homes under construction there as we speak. I went through there today. And that wouldn't have happened without that action being taken. So I know it's a little bit of a pain about it, but I wanted to thank you, and on behalf of the residents, thank you. And it's just nice to see development started again where it was basically just floundering there. And it just needed that attention, and it is moving forward. And there's not a lot of those types of homes being built right now in Wilkes-Barre. It's the one place that they can be. So thank you, Mayor, and your administration, and
Thank you.
Butch, for moving forward with that. Similarly, they replaced, especially up in John's area, my area, up in there, a lot of utility poles. This has been going on for the last 2 years. And they put all these new poles in, but they haven't seemed to have done anything with taking the old ones out, except put a big white X on them and leave them in the ground there. And I didn't know, I see Butch is not here. I thought maybe he might know, maybe Charlie might know if there's any plans on. They're very reluctant. They're quick to put the new ones up, but they're side by side with the old ones for the last 2 years, all over that part of the city. Maybe if we can check on that and see, maybe we can push that forward a little bit. It doesn't look like it's any more than transferring wires from one to the other. Sounds easy, but I'm sure it's probably not. But in some cases, it hampers pedestrian traffic on sidewalks at very narrow spots there. We can do something with that. And I know we talked about this issue in the past, and I don't know if it's other places, but there's a block on New Hancock Street. Thank you. I'm competing with a bag of popcorn there or something, but there's
I worked all day, I'm sorry.
block, that's okay. There's a block on New Hancock Street that has 4 basketball hoops hanging out over the road. And I think, Tim, we might have run into this before, but I've got complaints about people's cars, they're afraid to leave their cars on the street, the noise and that type of activity. And they are actually, they're overhanging the road, and I know we have an ordinance for things that overhang the curb. And I can understand where the neighbors are a little bit upset about that. It takes up parking spots. Nobody's gonna wanna park underneath one of those for fear a basketball game will break out and your car's in the way, but I don't know if whose responsibility that would be to go up and, whether it's DPW or somebody to go up and look at that issue, but they are hanging out over the street, and there's 4 of them in one block, so basically the street is turned into a basketball court. If we can have somebody go up and take a look at that and see if there's anything we can do to get them off the tree lawns and hanging out over the road. And I know Friday, Good Friday, and I think your office mayor will be sending out a reminder about recycling and trash and everything. I know you usually put out a press release, but I'm just hoping that people do not put out all that stuff out there for Easter, have it blow all over the street and leave it out there. So I imagine you're gonna be putting out a release on that with the changes. It's in the calendar and everything, but we all know how that goes. And we've seen that happen where people put things out on Thursday or Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever and leave it out there over the holidays. So that'd be great if we can do that. But thank you again for everything. And that's all I have for now.
Okay. Councilman Brooks?
Thank you. I know I'm always a broken record about Sherman Hills, and I know I brought it up in February 24th, but this time I want to thank the mayor and Councilman Barrett for having a meeting at Sherman Hills. I'm glad I see in the newspaper that it seemed to be productive, but I definitely want to be a voice for a couple residents who have called me about this, and I just want to make sure it's still on the agenda that the owner will consider a 24-hour security guard in a gatehouse to check the IDs of everyone who comes in and out of the complex. I have been told that they think that's the best way to deal with the situation, that drug dealers are not going to show their driver's license and sign in and out, or any other people with shenanigans. So I'm hopeful that is on the agenda, and I'm glad to hear that you're going to have a residents association there as well. I'm glad you're taking that up. What I really want to talk, though, is harp on what Councilman Barrett was saying about trash. I know I brought this up before, and I think we really need to figure out a way to deal with people who do put their trash out early. There's been a particular property, a couple properties that I have been reporting constantly. Matter of fact, one property 8 times, and I'm hopeful that that person has been cited, and we will reap benefits of finding people for this. In my particular district, it is a constant battle because we happen to be a Monday pickup. So obviously it's very convenient for some people to say, well, I'm going out of town, particularly students, to put their trash out on a Friday morning, and then it just sits there Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, with the potential of squirrels and people and rodents and dogs to go through the trash and wind to then blow it around. But yet we don't have a system in place to go after those people. So Saturday morning, someone puts out the trash, say I get a call from a constituent, I can't even call you, Charlie, right? City Hall's closed. What do I do? So I think we need to come up with a system to aggressively go after people who are just not paying attention to the city calendar. We put it out there, every resident has it. If you don't have it, it's on the website. If not, we also put out timely notices for vacations in the newspaper. Well, I think we do a great job of publicizing when we put out our trash, but for some reason, people just do not seem to pay attention to it, and I think we need to ratchet up a few notches on what we do. And my suggestion is, the first time is a grace time. You knock on the door, you say, hey, do you know the rules? These are the rules. But that's it. The second time, you get a fine at a certain amount. The third time, you get increase the fine. And I'm wondering if, I know we have to go to a magistrate, and we seem to have a kerfluffle about what we do at magistrates, but for example, either sometimes I'll take a photograph or somebody will email me a photograph, and I'm wondering if that could hold up in court. I'm trying to think of, like, parking tickets where there's certain streets in the city that says do not park more than an hour. There's no meters, but I would assume that the ticket people, when they do a chalk on the car, take a photo of it, so we absolutely know that that's the car and this is the time, right? Can that also be used for trash? So if Mike or John, Beth and I, Bill, we take a photo, does that guarantee that, okay, you violated the law? I'm just looking for a way that we could be more forceful in saying that we mean business and trying to keep this city as clean as we possibly can. So, so I'm putting that all out there. I'll do some more research. I mean, we can discuss it, but I want to just keep this conversation going about how can we be more aggressive in helping people abide by the law and put their trash out just the night before. So that's all. Thank you.
Councilman Marconi?
Yeah, I do. I just want to touch base with Tony too. Up in my district as well, with the garbage being out a little early. It seems like it's happening more and more, just in certain areas. I did reach out to the administration, Charlie. He did send Roxanne, one of our code people out there, I believe. And they spoke with them, which was good, and it seemed to have helped. So hopefully, you know, that's you know, one way we can combat that. The other stuff I have, I'll wait till later on, and that's all I have for now.
Councilman Belisco?
Mayor, could you give us an update on what's going on in Goose Island, what the progress is?
Regarding,
We put it out for bid, right? It is out for bid.
yeah, Mike, there's a couple projects that we're doing down there. I reported a couple weeks ago, we're doing a 900-foot sewer project where we're replacing some of the sewer system, but also whenever the creek, Solomon Creek gets high, we have a flooding situation. And we're installing mechanisms so that the basements will no longer have to deal with the sewage and other things that get into their basements. Okay, so that's a project that we're doing, is 900 feet. We're also doing some sewer repair work and replacement work in that area. When we do the sewer replacement, we have to repave the road. So there'll be a lot of replacements. And we put out a phase 1 and phase 2 yesterday. It shows several areas within the whole city where we're doing phase 1 and phase 2. And what that means is sewer repair, replacement, and then repaving. So a big part of that's going to be Goose Island.
So, the bid is out.
The one bid was out. We put the second phase 2 out just recently. So, okay.
All right, thanks.
Just to kind of piggyback off of some of what other council members were saying, just regarding the trash in the city, I know that obviously some of it is from people putting out their garbage too early and not abiding by different ordinances that we have regarding that. But it's just, I don't know if the trash in the city is just from that or if it's a combination of people littering or whatnot, but it's really like, it's just depressing, for lack of a better word. Like, you know, my husband and I and Robert will be, you know, outside the city for the day, and we'll come in and we'll drive in, and it's like, it's just night and day compared to neighboring municipalities. And I just don't know how we could fix that, and I don't know what the best route to take with that is, but I'm all on board as far as looking at our ordinances and seeing what we could do to improve at least the trash pickup aspect of it. And I also think another thing we could do is, I mean, personally, I would be on board for hiring more members of our health department to actually go out on a daily basis and patrol the city, for lack of a better word, district by district, just to, you know, if they see a house with a lot of trash on the property, and find them. I also think we need to hold more citywide cleanups. I know that we have a lot of volunteer groups that are doing a really great job, but I know just from when I was doing my cleanups, I would clean one road, and then a week later it would be trashed again. And like, how disheartening is that?
Right.
You know, like, why? I mean, you get to a point where it's like, why am I even bothering? So I don't know what the answer is, but I think that we're off to a good start by having some of these conversations, and just trying to get to the root of the problem. So, one other issue, the corner of East Northampton Street and Park Ave, it was purchased by a woman, and I believe she was supposed to start a business on the property and build on the property. I don't know, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, I can't remember. But I was just wondering if there was any progress on that. It's an empty lot on the corner of Park Ave and Northampton. Okay.
The first transaction was finalized a while ago, like Beth said, and then the second transaction was authorized, but they're still, I guess, doing the title search and those kinds of things. Because they're also buying the lot that adjoins that. There was
Right.
two city-owned lots there. They bought one, like you said, 2 years ago or so, and they're currently in the process of purchasing the one adjacent to that.
Okay.
As far as where she is in getting her business started there, I don't have any idea.
Okay. So I know last year the city was up there cutting the grass on the property. I don't know if that's because we still own part of the property or what reason that is, but will the city still be responsible for that this year?
Beth, we still own the one property until it goes through closing,
Correct.
so we are responsible.
Okay.
She's responsible for the other part that she bought,
Okay.
okay, and if it's not cut, then we'll do the normal citations and procedures that we do, notices to cut it, those type things. We have to take responsibility until we can sell the other property.
Right.
You gave us approval, now it's just going through, the proper processes. And by the way, as far as her business, we started a program, as you know, if you start a new business, we'll pay your rent for 12 months. So I'm hoping that person could take advantage of that program, because we want to get that new business started and look at, helping them out with the first year by paying their rent. So it's, everyone's familiar with that. You guys gave us the approval to do that, and as of now, we have 10 new businesses that took advantage of it. So we're going to be working with her when she's ready. Hopefully the plan will still be in effect that we can do that.
Okay. Thank you. And then I know, Charlie, I've spoken with you about this before, but as far as empty lots in the city, I'm referring to that lot on the corner of East Northampton and Grant Street, the former Raymond's Electric building. He has a trailer parked on the property now, and that's been there off and on for a couple of years now. Is there anything that we could do about that?
My memory was that the trailer is in some type of, not as clear in the ordinance as it should be about whether you can place it there. And we alternately tag them and then it gets pulled off. I'm aware of it, it's like a annual problem.
Yeah.
And we got the other, I think he was parking other cars, we got those off, if I understood, and we got those off. The trailer is just an odd description, and I know I reviewed it with Tim a couple of times in the tank, about whether they can store it there or not, whether it's a zoning violation. It just sort of fits into a very, gray area, so we try to keep control of it, but I know the neighbors don't like the trailer. I'm not sure I can do an awful lot. I've talked to Tim, and if we move it, we open ourselves to potential liability, so it's a judgment call, really.
Okay.
We try to keep all the other stuff off of it.
Would it help to change the language in our ordinances?
I'm not sure, I'll be glad to talk with Tim about it, see
Okay.
if it could be a little bit more clear.
Okay.
Okay, because people, they have a right to keep on their property, theoretically, their property, as long as it's not a health problem. So it's in that sort of fine line in between. Doesn't look really great, but it is a piece of property, and it's not a health hazard. So we're sort of caught in the middle. That's really what not to get too legal about it, but that's the problem.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Good answers. Okay, no problem.
Take a minute.
Did you get that here, or did you bring that with you, the water?
There's
It's in the fridge.
in the
You have one in the
fridge.
second?
I think there's a few.
Good job.
Waiting for my notes.
It was working, and then I think he moved his, didn't pick him up.
No, what happens is, if you turn green and you turn it on, it's been out for so long, it seems to go off, because I look over the battery.
I had a guy that went, I knew it before we changed the meeting, so 6:45.
Yeah, I think you're okay.
I'll be here till then, and Charlie's gonna stay in the address.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You get it back. Yeah. And if there's a problem, just ask us.
That's very large.
It works for a while.
Yeah, and then it just shuts off.
Just hit that button if it sounds like it's not on.
I think it just jiggles in the connection. That's what it takes.
That's okay, Okay, we weren't gonna have one, but somebody had to run out, so you're okay. No, we're gonna start as soon as he's in the room. Where is he going? Usually does. You're gonna go right into the next meeting.
Would you like to be able to
About
go
2
around
minutes.
with citations and stuff?
Deputize
There you go, yeah.
At the regular session, they have to stand up.
Okay, but even now, is this going on YouTube too?
Yeah, this is on.
Okay, see what happens if I'm trying
And the
to
wind
start
comes
it,
and blows stuff all
when
over
they
the
do that,
place.
you can't hear them when you play it sometimes. And I'm old, I think years ago.
You have to speak like right into the microphone.
You got that, Charlie?
You'll be able to hear me when I want it heard. That's an old joke for sure.
Yep.
Stand up, Charlie. I've heard that one.
Wait, now you got Mike like locked out. Mike.
Mike.
I did. Well, your purses are in there, your cell phones are.
It's like a comedy skit.
I know. Leave it locked though, 'cause
I didn't need your vote.
now we gotta wait for Phil, because I don't know if we can get started without Phil.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where Phil went. Oh, there he is. We're ready, Phil? Yeah. We're ready. Okay. Ready?
All right. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come preside over these deliberations, so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Roll call, Mr. Barrett,
Here.
Mr. Brooks.
Here.
Mr. Marconi.
Here.
Mr. Belishko.
Here.
Mrs. Gilbert McBride.
Present.
Also in attendance is Mayor George Brown, Administrator Charlie McCormick, City Attorney Tim Henry, Assistant City Clerk Tracy Smith. Good evening and welcome to tonight's regular session of City Council. Please turn off all cell phones. The following are examples of some important council rules. They are not intended to be a complete list. Please adhere as closely as possible to the 5-minute speaker presentation time limit. All remarks should be addressed to the council and not to any individual member. No persons are allowed to address the council from beyond the rail, except the speaker at the dais who has the floor. Chairperson shall preserve order and decorum and prevent attacks on personalities. The chairperson shall determine all points of order No person except city officers or their representatives shall be permitted within the rail during any meeting without the express permission of the council. And finally, when members of the administration are speaking, please stand up and speak into the microphone.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, anybody on pending legislation?
Does anyone want to speak on pending legislation?
What's pending?
Anything on our agenda?
Like what?
Do you want me to read them all to you?
No, it looks good.
Okay.
Give it a minute on the call.
Okay.
Sam usually calls in. Yeah.
Hi, please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hello?
Yes, please state your name and where you're calling from.
Sam Troy, Wilkes-Barre. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Sam, go ahead.
Commenting on the agenda, I assume that's the stage that we are at now,
Yes.
the agenda. A couple of things I want to make clear my consistency on I understand that one of the items on the agenda is the suspension of the alcohol ordinance, the ordinance prohibiting alcohol in public square. I want to state my objection to that for the Fine Arts Fiesta. And I'm strong supporter of the Fine Arts Fiesta. I don't understand why alcohol has to be an integral part of that and all the other festivities that are on the square, including the Osterhout. Oh, that's not on the square, but all the other celebrations that need the suspension of the alcohol ordinance. I don't think we have a booze problem around here, and I don't think that tends to mitigate it by permitting that to happen, because you're going to have kids around. I mean, I think that the arts can be celebrated and people can have a great time without having booze around. I don't understand, what's the sense of having an ordinance prohibiting alcohol if it's every time somebody wants to have some sort of activity on there that you guys vote pretty much unanimously to suspend it. I also wanted to comment and ask some specifics, my time remaining on I understand there's a pending purchase of land by Wilkes. The city, Wilkes wants to purchase a parcel of land from the city.
The Wilkes
That's
item,
on the agenda.
Sam, the Wilkes item isn't on the agenda tonight.
It's not on the agenda?
No. No, they just gave a presentation, but it's not on the agenda tonight.
What else is on the CoStar's purchase, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I was just wondering if somebody could straighten me out. A little bit confused on the CoStar's program. There have been a lot of purchases by this city, as I understand it, through this program, which I guess is all well and good. I know it saves the city a lot of money. And I understand this is part of the mayor's agenda, right? It's not council's, right?
Correct.
Purchase of these two vehicles. Should somebody straighten me out and the public in general, straighten the public in general out as to, I assume these vehicles are necessary for the operation of emergencies or whatever. But I was wondering also if you could tell me how much actually the city has to shell out for these vehicles. And I know they're getting it at a discount because of this CoStar's program. And one purchase is from Bonner Chevrolet, as I understand it. I think.
Sam, it's Tim Henry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you, Tim.
Yeah, it's one vehicle. It's not two. And you're correct. It is an undercover vehicle that we're purchasing from CoStar's, and the price is $42,621. It is needed. From what Chief Coffey tells me, the current undercover vehicle isn't really functioning anymore, or is barely functioning. I forget exactly how he phrased it, but yeah, it is something that's absolutely necessary.
Well, I don't doubt that, but is the price, does the city have to pay the full price of it, $42,000?
Yeah, the price of the vehicle is $42,600.
In other words, if it wasn't through the Coast Guard's program, it'd be a lot more expensive, is that it?
Very possible, sure.
So, but did the mayor or whoever shop around to see if that was the best deal for the city? And is this money coming out of the general fund or what? Or is this?
No, I think
money
it's
coming out?
I think it's coming out of the seized funds account. I'm not positive. Let me take a quick look at the resolution. Yeah, this is being paid through the asset forfeiture fund, Sam.
What forfeiture fund?
The asset forfeiture funds.
Oh, asset forfeiture fund.
Right.
What is it? Can you explain briefly what that is, Tim? I'm in the dark about it.
I really couldn't explain it as well as Chief Coffey could, but obviously it has to do with, if they make some kind of arrest and there's assets that were gotten illegally, they have the right to seize some of those, and so they do have funds related to those kinds of operations.
Cash for drug dealers, that sort of thing?
I would assume that's exactly what it is, something like that. But again, I don't want to speak for Chief Coffey. He knows a lot more about this stuff than I do. But it's certainly not a general fund expenditure.
All right, appreciate your answer, Tim. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sam.
Steve, did you have a question on pending legislation?
Steve McCarthy from The Voice. Just wondering if you had the cost of the audit is the same for all 5 years? For the next 2 years, if it'll be the same as the first 3 years?
It is.
Yes, Steve, the prior auditors charged approximately $6,500 per year more than we're paying now. So it's been the same price. Okay?
And additionally, Steve, I think if I understand it correctly, the company that had the previous 5 years had a built-in increase every year. It wasn't much, but it increased a little bit. And this current company is not only $6,500 cheaper, but the price remains the same for the full 5-year term.
Okay. Anyone else on pending legislation? Okay.
Okay, so council has agreed to do the resolutions and the minutes as a consent. So we'll need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Barrett,
Second.
second by Mr. Marconi. Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Marconi?
Yes.
Mr. Belishko?
Yes.
Mrs. McBride?
Yes.
Passes.
Council presentations. Councilman Barrett, do you have anything additional?
Nothing additional, thank you.
Councilman Brooks?
Nothing additional, thank you.
Councilman Marconi?
I do, just real quick here. So Mr. Frady isn't here today, so I guess I'll just ask Charlie. Just want to touch base on potholes. We all know it's pothole season. I just want to know if we know when the plants are opening, or if they are, Charlie. Also, us council members, how do you want us to report them? Just typically through email? I can tell you I have quite a bit. And also Washington Street. I've been getting a lot of complaints about Washington Street with the potholes. From East Main to George Ave, it's rough, but it's really, really extremely bad from like Beatty Street to East Main going into Plains. I don't know if the funds are available, but if we can do something there other than patching, I would greatly appreciate it. Even if we do a paved job like we did on North Main Street and Austin Ave, several other streets received it as well at the end of last year. It was kind of a thinner amount of asphalt, fresh pavement, and it appears to be holding up. I was wondering if you can help me with that, please, sir.
Yeah, a couple of things, just to give you an update. We'll be putting together our list of streets that are going to be paved for this year. We're meeting with the staff over the next couple of days. Also, for the last couple of years, we've been looking at ideas and looking at how do we fix these potholes, but not temporarily, but permanently. And we've been trying out different mechanisms to do permanent patching. After several tryouts, we found one machine that we think will be able to help us do permanent patching. In other words, we will be trying this out for approximately 4 weeks. We're going to lease it for 4 weeks. And if it does work the way we hope it works, we'll look at purchasing it. But it's a permanent patch machine. It actually heats up the asphalt, and it's not a soft patch. We know about North Washington Street. As a matter of fact, I talked to 3 residents this week alone that called me about North Washington Street. That may be one of the streets we may be paving. We're looking at that along with other streets that we're paving. So there's a listing coming out. We're going to be very aggressive. Last year we spent over $1 million on streets. We're going to spend more than that this year, I'm thinking. So we'll be very aggressive. We'll be listening to your recommendations as far as what streets. And then they do have to qualify under low mod. So there are certain restrictions to some of the streets we're going to pave. But we're hoping that this pothole patching machine that we're looking at, it's state-of-the-art, it's brand new, it's nothing we've seen before, and we tested it for 1 day. It looked pretty good. But I want to at least lease it for 3 or 4 weeks. If it looks good, probably be coming before you to see if we can get approval to purchase it. So that is going to be a major change in pothole patching in the city. They're permanent, and we could do multiple potholes in a day. Probably around 20, 25. Okay?
Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Just regarding the pothole patching machine, that's really great news. I'm happy to hear about that. I know that John Sawski brought that up a few years ago. I know that Councilman Marconi has brought that up a few times as well, so I'm really happy to hear about that. I think that'll make a really big difference. Councilman Belisca? Nothing? Okay. Okay, we'll take this phone call.
Hi, please state your name and where you're calling from.
Okay. Bob Katalowski?
Get ready, Chief. Bob Kalaboski, we're going out live again. And what I've been bringing up for the past several months, I guess we're going to touch base on that tonight too. But first of all, I want to talk to Attorney Henry to address the council. Attorney Henry, just want to bring to your attention that this council has been violating my rights and other people's rights. And I think you should sit down with them and tell them, I'm picked on, Mr. Carr's picked on. I've been removed out of here in handcuffs already. But yet we see a week ago, a lady blurted out from behind the rail, I think Angel her name was, nothing was said. Nothing. And I think you should sit down with this council. They say you have to talk as a whole. So let me ask you something, Attorney Henry. When I'm bringing up about Mr. Marconi and his wife getting $30,000 a year health care, I don't consider that a personal attack. When I'm bringing up about Mr. Bulishko taking all the money he's taking for health care, I don't consider that a personal attack. And I don't think it's a personal attack if I bring up to the public that he owes back taxes. And I mean, I feel sorry for him if he's having a financial problem, but he is a city official, and he hasn't paid his taxes. And now I didn't pay mine yet this year, but I will. And another thing is, when I'm bringing up about Kathy, you know, and it's nothing personal about the raise, I don't consider that a personal attack. Another thing is with Mr. Brooks here, taking his buyout for health care. And now, Mr. Barrett, I understand you're getting something in some kind of insurance or something. Is that true? You're getting nothing other than your council thing? Okay, if that's correct, then I stand corrected. But Mr. Henry, I want you to tell these people, when I come in here and other people come in here, like the night that Mr. Belishko cursed at a city businessman, but not once, but twice. But yet that same businessman, got frustrated with the mayor, and it wasn't even a curse and was escorted out of here, I believe, by the police. But now I want to just ask you people, What about the health care? And what about treating everybody fairly here? Because I want you to, Beth, I've asked you, Beth, multiple times, what does your family, your baby and everybody else have to do with running this city? That you put your husband and little baby on the health care. They're not helping run the city. And I brought out to you how many people have worked up at the city garage and worked part-time for years and never got a dime of health care. Not a dime. And then you got Mr. Marconi. What is your wife doing to help run the city? And she's on workers' compensation. And just so you understand, you could laugh at me or do whatever you want. Yous are going. This is next year. If the citizens of this city aren't smart enough to get rid of every one of you, and Bill, I think you do a good job, but yet you're sitting here letting this stuff go on. You could get together and say, look, this isn't fair. This isn't fair that these people are working part-time. It's not fair at all. Beth, $30,000 a year. Do you know how hard I have to work to make $30,000?
Yep, I do.
Right. So how do you justify to the taxpayers that you're getting $30,000 a year for health care, plus you're getting some kind of insurance, plus your salary? And the same thing with you, Mr. Marconi. You know, how is it fair? If your wife is on workers' comp, what in God's name does she need health care for? And you, Mr. Belisco, the most successful businessman in South Wilkes-Barre, you've been in business there for years, but yet you're coming in here and what I consider leeching off the taxpayers to pay your health care. And that gives you an advantage over your competition, people who are in the same business. It's just not fair. And to bring up Kathy, I see you still aren't running the meetings right. You know what I mean? When that lady blurted out back there, why wasn't she reprimanded? But yet if I was crinkling popcorn up because I was hungry and I'm getting eyes for doing it, but yet she's able to interrupt the meeting and nothing was said to her. So when are we going to make this fair? And getting back to you, Mr. Henry, I think you better sit down with these people and warn them. Because you were aware years ago, I warned the previous council with Attorney Vinsco, with his ordinance, one that you should have implied knowledge. I said, we're going to get sued. We got sued. We lost. We lost. And when they violated my rights the last time, it cost the city $250,000. So I think you better sit down and you better tell these clowns what's going on here is not fair. Certain people are rejected out. Certain people are given extra time. Certain people could do what they want. But yet somebody who's speaking up against you, that's a problem. Now, Mr. Marconi, I want you to answer to the taxpayers tonight. I want some kind of an answer how your wife is making this city better by her being on workers' comp, or she's on workers' comp, but yet she's on our health care.
Council as a whole, okay?
Attorney Henry, here's what I get. See what she did? She's interrupting me. I'm trying to bring my point out to get an answer from Mr. Marconi. And Beth, you don't understand. This is and it's nothing personal against you. It's very frustrating. How do you talk to the council as a whole when him and his wife are getting $30,000 a year, he's getting tens of thousands of dollars for his health care, and you're getting $30,000, and you got Mr.
Bob.
Brooks getting his health care?
Your time's up, okay?
Okay, now how about an answer? Mr. Marconi? Taxpayers, watch this.
Bob.
Mr. Marconi, answer. Mr. Belisco, answer. Miss Gilbert, McBride, answer. Mr. Brooks, how about you? How about you're using our money to make yourself look good? See, taxpayers, this is what you got. This is what you got. A bunch of what I consider political leeches, and what they're doing, they're helping. The mayor's administration took pay cuts. They absorbed it
Bob,
all.
your presentation's over. Please sit down.
Okay, can I have an answer? What about
Please
you?
sit down. Your presentation is over.
Okay, but I'm asking you for my answer.
And I'm telling you, please sit down.
All right, well, I'm asking you for my answer.
Bob.
Well, answer me. Well, how is your husband and baby?
Bob, your presentation's over.
Okay, well, I'm asking you for my answer. And also, it's very intimidating to have a man with a gun standing back there. I would rather him in front in case somebody goes nuts here someday. Him being back there, it's very scary, especially what just happened in New York. Policemen should be standing up there. Now, what are you going to answer me?
I mean, my baby's too, so I don't know what you want me to say, that what he does.
Well,
for
I
the
understand,
city.
but what is your husband and baby doing to
Can you
make the
please
city
just
better?
sit down, Bob?
All right, but are you going to answer? So, Attorney Henry, I'll be leaving now, but would you talk to these people and warn them that people that come here, maybe they're frustrated and talk a little loud and stuff, but warn them, we have our rights too. Okay? And Kathy, you got to tighten up on these rules, okay? Please? I'll tow you away.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody gonna answer? No answer, taxpayers. No answer.
Is there one on the line?
See them? They're just sitting here. Not a word out of them. All this money.
Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hello?
Go ahead, honey, say your name and where you're calling from.
Oh, yes. My name is Barbara, and I'm calling from Plains in Wilkes-Barre. And I was just wondering, I wanted to talk to them about the wires going through the trees through our entire city.
Is that all?
Yes, that's all I wanted to make them aware of it, because a lot of where the wires are interconnecting through the trees, a lot of the trees are dying. And I was just wondering if anyone ever brought this up.
Are you finished with your statements?
Yes, I just wanted to make somebody aware, because it's a health issue.
As far as I know, I guess, I know utility companies trim trees if they deem them to interfere with the lines. That's all I know about. Okay, John Sahoski?
I got it rubbed up for you, John.
You warm up all the time for you, Bob. All right. John Sahoski, Almond Lane. Tony, you were mentioning Sherman Hills. Has anybody taken like a walkthrough? And I don't mean like a supervised walkthrough, but like a walkthrough, like to see the conditions of that. Like, have we rental inspected that property or anything? Like, in I believe it was 2017, Angel Giroux had a Martin Luther King Day presentation up there. He invited me to speak, and when I was there, I don't know, Tim, you might have been there. I don't know if you were there. But one of the things he had me do when I was up there before I spoke and stuff was to go door knock there and knock on some of the residents' doors and stuff. And when I was there, I was taking notice to a lot of the conditions up there, and I thought that a lot of like the hallways, especially in some, I didn't go in the tower, but I went to the like the smaller buildings, and the hallways and stuff, some of them stunk, like they weren't, I seen evidence of water damage. So, like, I don't know, back then, that was years ago, but I thought the conditions were pretty bad then. I actually said something to Matt Cartwright after I spoke. I don't know if, for him to have somebody kind of take a look at it, I don't know if he ever did. I don't know if I said anything to any city officials that day, but, like, if the conditions never changed from that time, I would really suggest somebody go up there and, like, at least take a walk around. Like, if you guys ever wanted to do a walk around up there, I would go with you in a heartbeat just to see if it even changed from that time. And with the Wilkes presentation, they're going to take, like, I'm not usually a huge fan of them getting buildings, but at least they're going to have some kind of, there's going to be some kind of tax revenue out of that building, so that's at least, I guess, a good thing. But, so if they're going to build up down in that block, like, I really think that we should use LSA funds to kind of revitalize the other half of that block, because, if they're building up down that end of the block, you want to build up the other end, and you don't want those properties to, you're good, Bob. You don't want those properties to fall apart and get in such deplorable condition where Wilkes would be able to purchase them for a low price. You'd want to at least have the owners of those, maybe help those owners build those properties up where they are a profitable property for profitable properties for the people who currently own them, and maybe they'll want to start businesses in that area. And that's all I have.
So, John, I did do a walkthrough a couple days after the shooting back in February. I met with residents. Then Steve wrote about it in the Voice about my idea for reconstituting the Sherman Hill Task Force and bringing back a residents association. From that, people called me as well, and I went up, and you're right, the little short buildings, the shorter ones, pathetic. I cannot believe people.
So they probably never
it was, all you do is smell urine or cleaning supplies. I'm trying to clean up, covering over the smell, trash everywhere. There's no landscaping in the place. The entire streets, that Parkview Lane, the parking lot is probably worse potholes than we have in the city, and that's saying something. It's just, nobody should live like that. So I'm very hopeful that this new owner, and I hope Dick Knapp, who is the owner of this place from Washington, does really come up here and meet with the residents and the city administration to talk about ideas. And we hold him accountable because they deserve better.
Yeah, you've hit everything that kind of was on my mind that I came across when I was through there. Like,
Yeah.
that was some of the bigger things.
In terms of the LSA grants for revitalizing that portion of the downtown, I think that's absolutely needed. I think that if Wilkes is going to put this much of an investment into that area, there needs to be a strategic plan for that section of the downtown.
I
Just
mean,
makes sense.
everybody else had a strategic, like Dallas, Pittston, everybody else had strategic plans and it worked for them. I don't know why we've waited so long to do that. You know, that should be our thing. I don't know.
Agree to agree. Okay. You can read that one and then if anyone else calls.
Okay, I have an email from Jason Carr. It says, both the financial consultant for the city of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania Financial Management, and now bond rating agency, Standard & Poor's, have indicated the city operates with a structural deficit somewhere between $2 to $3 million. What practices is the mayor implementing to eliminate the annual budget deficit, as the city has had to extract over $4 million the last 2 years from the American Rescue Plan funds to balance the budget? At the last council meeting, Councilman Tony Brooks indicated the city has spent $9 million of American Rescue Plan funds in total. That number is incorrect. Does the mayor know how much the city has spent in American Rescue Plan funds since receiving the money from the federal government?
Kathy, my friend just said, can you repeat that? It's online, he said he can't hear it. You have to speak in the microphone. You have to repeat it.
This is an email from Jason Carr. Both the financial consultant for the city of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania Financial Management, and now bond rating agency, Standard & Poor's, have indicated the city operates with a structural deficit somewhere between $2 to $3 million. What practices is the mayor implementing to eliminate the annual budget deficit, as the city has had to extract over $4 million the last 2 years from the American Rescue Plan funds to balance the budget? At the last council meeting, Councilman Tony Brooks indicated the city has spent $9 million of American Rescue Plan funds in total. That number is incorrect. Does the mayor know how much the city has spent in American Rescue Plan funds since receiving the money from the federal government?
Thank you.
Any comment?
Yes, sure. We've had to take money from the American Rescue Plan and supplement monies that was lost during the pandemic. That's the whole point of the American Recovery Plan, is to recover some of the lost revenue from the pandemic. That's exactly what it was supposed to be used for. I will say that this year has been a dynamic year so far for us. We've already made our budget amounts for permit fees. We've already made our budget amounts for transfer taxes. So the monies that we put in the budget for those revenue sources have already been made this year, and they were made by the end of March. This is going to be a record year for the city of Wilkes-Barre, and I did not know. We did not raise taxes. We did not raise fees. We did not sell the sewer authority. We didn't do those things, okay? Because we felt that the residents wouldn't be able to afford that. What did we do? We put together a plan, and that plan is starting to work now. We have a lot of investments coming in the city. Like I said before to Mr. Carr, over $100 million in new investments in the city of Wilkes-Barre, and the revenues are up. So this is going to be a great year for the city. And as I said before, I want to reiterate for Mr. Carr, the reason that we transferred those monies in, because that's the reason that they were allocated to the city for, is for recovery of lost revenue. Also, I will give you an update on the allocation of funds that have been received and also spent. City received $18,578,114. We made interest on that money that was put into a bank account, $4,965.04. Funds spent, $11,074,342.27. Remaining balance, $7,508,736.77. And a lot of that money that was spent, Mr. Marconi, I believe you asked for a copy of how we spent it. I believe every council member received that. A lot of that money was spent through the 9-point plan that we put together, which is for new businesses, as I said, remodeling homes, starting up businesses, but also purchasing homes in the city of Wilkes-Barre, and also for the $300 stimulus checks. That's where a portion of that money went to, a large portion of it. But also, we have other areas that you see where it was wall repair for waterways. We repaired several walls within different districts that have collapsed. We're going to continue to do that. And a main portion of the remaining funds will be used for sewer replacement and repair.
Anything for the good of the order? Motion to adjourn?